Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Right now, a highly complex dispute between a major AI developer and the US government is actively writing the global rulebook for AI cybersecurity. We are going to unpack all of it, because what we're looking at today, it isn't just your standard corporate squabble, and it's definitely not a minor regulatory hurdle. It's literally a foundational moment in tech history. We've got a high-stakes standoff between Anthropic and the Trump administration that's going to define exactly how the most powerful artificial intelligence systems on the planet are governed, secured, and deployed. To really understand the scale of this, we have to start with the immediate crisis. Picture this. It's exactly 5:21 p.m. Eastern on June 12. Suddenly, an export control directive arrives with zero public warning. And just like that, this order pulls top-tier AI models, specifically Anthropic's Fable 5 and Mythos 5, completely offline for global users, no access, for 3 entire days. Now, you might be wondering if this was just a glitch. No way. It was a unilateral government mandate that effectively froze some of the most advanced cybersecurity AI capabilities in the world. So how are we breaking this down today? We'll do a quick flyover of our roadmap. 1, the AI blackout. 2, anatomy of the truce. 3, the open AI anomaly. 4, the cybersecurity backlash. 5, governance by intelligence. And finally, 6, the global precedent. All right, jumping right into part 1, the AI blackout. Let's look at the anatomy of this crisis. Now, this didn't just happen in a vacuum. It actually started back in March when the Department of Defense labeled Anthropic a supply chain risk, which, by the way, is a designation usually reserved for adversarial nations. This happened after the company refused the Pentagon's demands under the Defense Production Act, and Anthropic actually sued the administration over it. Then, fast forward to June 12, the export control directive hits and suspends the models. It spread like wildfire. By June 15, senior tech staff from Anthropic were rushing to Washington for emergency truce talks at the Commerce Department. And literally a day later, the broader tech community was jumping in. Grounding this in reality for a second, what did this actually look like on the ground? Well, the collateral damage was massive. Allied cyber defenders who relied on Mythos 5 through a program called Project Glasswing, they suddenly lost their capabilities without any warning. Domestic cybersecurity defensive operations were totally disrupted because the very tools defenders used to hunt down vulnerabilities were just gone. The directive was so blunt that even Anthropic's own foreign national employees were blocked from accessing their employees' flagship products. It was a total, indiscriminate freeze. Moving on to part 2, anatomy of the truce and how they're trying to construct bilateral AI governance. So the government and Anthropic are at the Commerce Department trying to quickly build a bridge. And they've got a 3-part negotiation agenda to get through. First up, safety protocols. The government is worried about a jailbreak vulnerability, and they need hard technical proof it's fixed. Second, access frameworks. Since Anthropic currently can't filter out foreign nationals in real time, they literally have to build a brand new nationality-verified access system from scratch. And third, federal agency terms. The government is holding a massive commercial lever here, threatening to pull lucrative federal contracts if Anthropic doesn't comply. It's fascinating because this shows us exactly what it takes to construct a functional AI safety compact on the fly between a private developer and national security forces. Which brings us to part 3, the open AI anomaly. This is where a major double standard gets revealed. Okay, here's the strategic mystery at the core of this whole thing. On one hand, you have Anthropic, heavily restricted and hit with that supply chain risk label. But then, look at OpenAI. Their model, GPT 5.5 Cyber, has comparable capabilities and was even explicitly mentioned in earlier policy drafts. Yet, it was totally unrestricted by the June 12 directive. Despite both companies fielding frontier cybersecurity models, the administration appears focused way more on a company's compliance and governance posture than on pure technical capability. Anthropic pushed back and sued, OpenAI maintained a cooperative relationship, and the regulatory outcomes couldn't have been more different. The political rhetoric really highlights this dynamic. Take this quote from tech investor and Trump ally David Sachs. He said, "The admin values Anthropic's technical capabilities and feels that this issue should be easily resolved. The ball is in Anthropic's court." Statements like this, along with comments from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, impartially frame the dispute as validation of the administration's prior judgments about reliability. They are placing the burden of resolution entirely on Anthropic. The message is pretty clear. Technical fixes alone aren't enough. It's about aligning with government oversight. All right, part 4, the cybersecurity backlash, because the experts definitely had something to say. 80. That's how many highly respected cybersecurity executives and experts banded together by June 16. Just days into the blackout, they stepped right into the middle of the policy argument and sent an open letter straight to the White House. In this letter, they demanded the White House commit to an open, scientific, and transparent process of handling AI risk assessments in the future. Their point makes a lot of sense. Singling out Anthropic doesn't actually stop bad actors from finding AI tools, right? Because comparable models from other companies are still widely available. But what it does do is severely disrupt defensive operations for legitimate security practitioners who rely on these specific models to keep critical infrastructure safe. Basically, they're arguing that you simply cannot regulate global cybersecurity with spontaneous Friday afternoon bans. Let's pivot to Part 5, Governance by Intelligence and the China Dimension. Now, intelligence leaks suggested the export directive was reportedly triggered by suspected access from a China-linked group. If that's accurate, it completely shifts our understanding. It means the administration wasn't just acting on theoretical precautions or some long-term policy goal. They were taking a reactive, urgent measure to close access after a potential compromise had already occurred. It totally explains the binary nature of the ban. They didn't have time to surgically remove a threat, so they just pulled the plug on the whole shebang. And this right here? This is the core conflict of the entire saga. On one side, you've got formal AI governance. This is the dream for tech companies. Predictable, pre-planned, consultative, and based on transparent criteria. But what we just witnessed is an intelligence-driven mechanism. It is unpredictable, it's unilateral, it's immediate, and it's based on classified triggers that the companies are entirely blind to. This tension sits right on the fault line between a predictable regulatory framework that businesses can actually plan for and a lightning-fast intelligence apparatus that strikes without warning. Finally, Part 6, the global precedent, looking at this litigation diplomacy parallel. Let's zoom out for a second. Anthropic is literally fighting a legal battle in the courts, suing the DoD over that initial risk designation while simultaneously trying to negotiate diplomacy at the Commerce Department. Those two timelines? They do not cleanly match up. Meanwhile, allied nations are sitting in this massive coordination gap, suddenly realizing that their access to vital U.S. AI defense tools can vanish overnight without so much as a phone call. The overarching precedent set here is massive. The U.S. government is claiming the authority to initiate ad hoc total model suspensions at a moment's notice. So what does this all mean for us? Will this confrontation result in a structured framework for global AI governance, or just a temporary case-specific truce? I want you to really think about this, because the outcome of these private Commerce Department talks is actively determining our technological future. Do we finally get a formal engagement process for AI safety, where the rules of the road are clear? Or are we stuck in a cycle of reactive enforcement, where AI models get yanked offline every single time a classified intelligence trigger is tripped? I'll leave you with this final thought. We are watching a governance architecture being built in days that will impact decades. This single corporate dispute, born out of a Friday afternoon directive and emergency weekend meetings, is laying the invisible foundation for our future. It absolutely proves that the rules for artificial intelligence aren't just being written in quiet legislative halls. They're being hammered out in real-time, high-stakes crisis negotiations. It makes this one of the most consequential standoffs in tech history. Thanks for exploring this with me today, and keep questioning the frameworks that shape our world.